What's good everyone, this is John MD Mills and welcome back to my channel for your monthly review of what I've been reading. So this is what John read for the month of March. We're a quarter way through the year, so here's a couple more reviews of books that I've been reading. So in March I read a couple of books, but these three are the ones I mainly want to talk about when I'm thinking about what I want to do for this month's vlog. So the first one is Chinua Achebe, Hour of God. Massive fan of Achebe. I've read 4 books before Hour of God of his, so this is the 5th book I was reading. First time I haven't read it in a day, and I really think that affected the way I perceived this book because it's the first book of his which I haven't actually liked. It's the final part of his African trilogy, and I liked the idea of where his plot was going, but it never actually gripped me in a way which I'm actually happy to say that I was flowing along with it happily. Didn't really do that for me, and I guess that's affected generally how I'm looking at things. Please ignore the sirens. That happens a lot around here. Anyway, so yeah, Chinua Achebe, Hour of God. Good, but I weren't, it was a struggle. It was a struggle, I'll be honest. Second book, Martin Meredith, The Fortunes of Africa. Liked the book. Liked the focus on the last 200-300 years, but I wish there was some more stuff on Africa during the Roman Empire. But then again, maybe a lot of his sources were from the last 300 years due to colonialism and whatnot. I like Martin Meredith. I've read some of his books before. I did think that this book was kind of condescending. Trying to kind of condense 5,000 years of history to a continent that you're not actually from. Yeah, there's an attitude you have to be able to even think to do that, especially when there's, a century of English history takes up volumes and volumes inside a public library or a special library, depending on what it is. So the idea that you can, condense 5,000 years of history of a continent that you're not actually from into an 800-page book, yeah, I get what you're trying to do. It was ambitious, I'll give him that. He kind of does a good job, but I really do wish that there was more stuff on a lot of the prehistory stuff. But then again, limited sources, limited, I guess, in time and whatnot, and maybe he has his own agenda of what he wanted to focus on, which is mainly the last couple hundred years due to how it's affecting today and the entire ramifications of the scramble, which was less than 150 years ago. And the final book which I read, Black Boy by Richard Wright. I've had this book on my reading list for a while now. Mainly due to me reading a lot of James Baldwin, and he always seems to reference Richard Wright in some way or another, and Black Boy is on like most important books of the 20th century list. It's autobiographical, it's about his childhood growing up in the Jim Crow law days in the South of the United States, and it's very personal about how hard it was just to be educated, how hard it was, and how hard it is still today, I guess, of how actually living in this segregation and how the blatant racism played itself out every single day. And just reading the narrative, and the beauty of Richard Wright is it wasn't so much his style and his prose, but his blunt writing somewhat changed the attitude of Americans towards racism. So it wasn't just the effects of one person that led to change, it is the fact that everyone contributes in some shape or form, and him just writing about his experiences helped shift social attitudes, as well as his other writings, no doubt. So I appreciate Richard Wright in that respect. Black Boy was very interesting for me to read, being, British and a white man. Just trying to get some insight into how it was in the early 20th century. Critical reading for anyone that wants to know more about, the race discussion, which we are constantly having nowadays. So I'd recommend that to everyone. Anything else from me? Oh, yeah, I'm still running that race. Training's a myth right about now. So yeah, for anyone that don't know, I'm running a 10K at the end of May for orchid cancer, because men's cancer is very important and we don't like to talk about that kind of stuff. I'll put the link in. I'm hopefully going to get better at training because I really actually want to do well in this. I'm just struggling to find the time. So any kind of support would be very much appreciated. And also, as well, I set myself a challenge at the start of this year to actually write a lot more short stories. So I'm releasing one every single Wednesday, and I've done it for every Wednesday so far this year. I'm aiming to do 52 for the entire calendar year of 2017. There are 14 currently right now, so feel free to check out some of my writing on my website. I'll put the link straight to the short stories in the description below. Yeah, so that's what John read. I'm also working on a couple personal projects which you should be hearing about very soon, shooting some videos soon, so we shall see some poetry projects. Can't wait. But yeah, that's all from me now. This is John MD Mills. Peace.